For those of you with cell phones or pagers, would please turn it off or set it to stun. Baruch Dayan Hamet, we praise the Judge of Truth. Beginning with Psalm 121. Esai enai el haharim, me'ayin yavo Ezri. Ezri me'im Adonai, oseh shamayim va'aretz. Al yiten lamot raglecha, al yanum shomrecha. Hine lo yanum, v'lo yishan shomer Yisrael. Adonai shomrecha, Adonai tzedcha al yad yaminecha. Yomam hashemesh lo yakeka v'yarech b'layla. Adonai yishmarcha mikol ra yishmor et nafshecha. Adonai yishmar tzedcha v'oecha me'ata va'ad olam. I lift up mine eyes unto the mountains. From whence cometh my help? My help comes from the Lord, maker of heaven and earth. God will not let your foot give way. Your protector will not slumber. See, the protector of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. The Lord is your guardian. He is your shade at your right hand. The sun will not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord will guard you from all harm. He will guard your soul, your going and your coming, now and forever. Death has taken your dearly departed, your beloved Gail Meister. Friends grieve in the darkened world. In their silence there is lamentation. In their tears there is loneliness. Lost in their sorrow, may they find the presence of loving friends. Hear them, O God, and be with them. For Gail's love and her life, which united so many people, and which death cannot sever. For her companionship that was shared along life's path, and which continues through the tenderness of memory. For the gifts of her heart and mind, which brought joy and happiness and is now a precious remembrance. For all of these things and more, we give our thanks to God. It is a time of grief, and so once again we listen to the voice of our sacred scriptures from Sefer Tehillim, from the book of Psalms. It tells us of our kinship with the Creator, in light as in darkness, in joy as in sorrow, in life as in death. Together let us recite the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. It's a privilege to call forward Howard to speak words about his mother, and then Sam will come up after that. Or Sam's going first. Yeah, we'll let you go first. Being the favorite granddaughter. Well, I set you up for graduation.
On Sunday, May 13th, my heart broke into a million pieces. I not only lost my grandmother, but a mother and truly my best friend. G and I talked every morning, 7:30 to 8. Her girls knew not to call because that was our time. We talked about anything and everything, and I will always cherish each and every phone call I had with her. The memories we share of our shopping trips, baking, her taking care of me. The whole week I got my wisdom teeth out. The tooth before, never missing any event, drinking coffee for hours. The list can go on, but the memories will last with me forever. These memories are what keep her alive in my heart and make me a better person tomorrow than I am today. She showed me how to love unconditionally, be kind, and respect others. She may not be here with us physically, but she will always be in my heart.
Good job, baby. My mom was really all about us. She was about friends, so many of you here today, and family. Not really sure how that came, but I do know that she met my dad when she was fairly young. Her family, her extended family, was much older than her. She really didn't have any close ties to her siblings. She was basically an only child as she grew up, and maybe that pushed her toward the whole idea of family. When she did meet my father, she became very involved with his family. My Aunt Barbara, my Uncle Norman, my Uncle Billy, my cousins. And in particular, as time went on, she developed a very special relationship with my cousin Stacy. That really began probably as a support for Stacy, support for my mom, but as this relationship where they would talk about daily activities in life. But Stacy, it grew into a lifelong friendship that really was unmatched, and I'm very glad that she had that with you and for her. Beyond that, she was there for my brother and I. Once we became here, we became her priority. The things that she did for us throughout life, countless. I will take this opportunity to thank her, probably for the first time, for all the time she pestered me throughout life to do things that I probably didn't want to do, but should have done, and never thanked her properly. So I'll do so now. She treated my friends. She welcomed my friends and her friends into our world. Many of my friends referred to her as a second mother, or just made comments on how much they truly loved my mother. Tom and Mary Lou, Bob Emery, Bobby Herlacker, Michael Potts, and on and on. Most of whom are here today, and there's others that couldn't make it, but she loved the fact that you were in my life, and loved the fact that you were part of her life, and it was really a big thing for her, and I thank you guys all for that as well. Later in life, my dad became ill. He was diagnosed with ALS, was unable to do much for himself, and my mother was truly an incredible person. She took care of him on a daily basis. She put him way beyond herself. She was totally selfless in this whole endeavor. Truly incredible. And that relationship between my mother and father did not die when he died. And quite honestly, I don't believe it died last week when she died. That is a relationship that will go on into eternity. As many of you guys know, I was forced to be a single father, to raise my 3 children. Quite simply, it would not have happened without Mom. There was never a time. There was never anything that I asked of her that she didn't do or do her best to come through for me. The relationship that she developed with Samantha, as you guys can tell, was very strong. And Danielle, no different, equally as strong, and Curtis as well. So what she did for my children, and all those years that I required all that help, no words can speak it. she also was a very special friend. There's people here today that I really don't know all that well, but that I could tell. Rita and Barbara and Esther, among others, that were very special to her, and the relationships that she formed and the way that they loved each other was very clear. And I appreciate the fact that you guys were there for her. I guess the theme here is that for my family, for Stacy, for my brother, for her friends, for my friends, for the people that knew her, at this time I would just like to take the moment to thank her for everything that she did to keep those relationships and to form them, and also to thank all of you, because without you none of that would have mattered. So for all of us, Mom, I love you, always will, and just thank you for being here. Thank you.
And to those words spoken as a prayer, let us say Amen. So we gather this morning, and we gather to create a collective warmth. It's not real cold outside, but the collective warmth is in the shadow of your loss. It can be cold and it can be lonely. And so we create a collective warmth for one another. As we mourn the loss of your mother and grandmother and dear relative, lifelong friend, confidant, and dear one, Gail Meister. Yesterday, as some of the family members sat and talked about Gail, images from a Torah portion came into my mind, and now especially with what you said, Howard and Sam, and what I'll share from Dee and from Curtis. These images came to mind. At the beginning of the book of Exodus, there are several striking examples of determination and toughness, and it has to do with women. We learn about women who worked with their hands to survive and to nourish and sustain others. So there are three examples. The first example is in Exodus chapter 1, verse 15. Please check. The Pharaoh commanded the Hebrew midwives, Shiphrah and Puah, commanded them to kill all newborn Hebrew males at birth. The Pharaoh said, he said, when you deliver the Hebrew women, look at the birth stool. If it's a boy, kill him. If it's a girl, let her live. But Shiphrah and Puah defied the Pharaoh in the first act of civil disobedience in the Bible. And with their hands, they saved those lives of those little boys. A second example, in Exodus chapter 2, the birth of Moses, his mother and his older sister Miriam hid him for 3 months. They hid him until they couldn't hide him any longer. At 3 months, the kids started to make a lot more noise. And with their hands, they hid him, they nourished him. They put him in a wicker basket, prepared the wicker basket so it wouldn't sink, put him in the Nile River, and hopefully saved his life. And the third example, it did save his life. The Pharaoh's daughter, she went down to the Nile River to bathe and sees this basket floating and then caught in the reeds, and she opens up the basket and there's this little boy. And with her hands, she brought that boy out of the basket, raised him to be a leader, raised him to be Moses, the leader of the Jewish people eventually. And these were tough, determined, spirited, sometimes I'm sure cantankerous, but all very loving women. And as you were talking about your dear Gail, those episodes in the Torah came to mind because she was so many of those things and much, much more. Gail Brown, she was born May 14th, 1938. That was yesterday, 1938. Her parents, Harry and Blanche. Harry was a widower, Blanche was a widow. They met each other, consoled one another, and then they got married. And they were blessed with Gail as a daughter. Gail's husband, Barry, well, Barry was in the Air Force. And when he came home from serving, a mutual friend, Alan Gilman's father, apparently suggested that Barry meet Gail, and they met each other at some sort of a party, and they hit it off, apparently, obviously. They got married. Gail was blessed with family. We have 2 sons, 3 grandchildren, and 1 great-grandchild, Howard and Jeffrey. Howard's girlfriend, Helene, Jeffrey's wife, Debbie. Grandchildren, Samantha. Samantha's got the great-grandson, Carter. He's 2. You'll see him later at the house, but not now. All right. Granddaughter, Danielle. Danielle's got a fiance, Chris. Wherever you are, I'm looking. Oh, hi. You moved your glasses. It throws me off. I'm sorry. All right, and Curtis, and you have a fiance, Leslie. And an extremely close niece, Stacy. Howard, as you spoke, you said your mom was really all about family and that she helped you raise the kids. She was at everything and she did everything. She was like a mother to the kids. All of you talked also about her brownies. She baked brownies and cheesecake. For Hanukkah, she would make latkes. She showed the kids how to make matzo ball soup. She recently taught Curtis. Pressure's on now, Curtis, because the recipe is with you. Can you, got to make matzo balls. Granddaughter Danielle shared, there are so many things I wish I could still say to my grandmother. The fact that we are even here right now is almost more than I can take. The love you had for me, I felt unconditionally and endlessly. You can't be here with me anymore in person, but I can still feel your love when I think about you. You are incomparable, incomparably the best woman I have ever met in my entire life. You made every memory a little brighter. There are not words that seem good enough to describe how much I loved you. I was so lucky to have you there while I was growing up. I miss you so much already. I know I will think about you every day, as you have taught me so much, and so many of the memories I have lead back to you. I love you with all my heart, Grandma. Curtis shared, from picking me up at daycare to making me entire bags of puppy chow, to helping me open up my first Kohl's charge. Grandma Gail has always been there to support me and guide me through life. We'll miss you, Grandma. Rest in peace. Gail's niece Stacy shared and recalled, she said, I loved her. She was such a good friend and confidant, and she was a real good secret keeper. It's good to be a confidant. Everyone needs confidant. She was in good health most of her life. About a year ago, they found some hardening of a heart valve, stenosis, and the heart doesn't pump efficiently enough. And the last 2 or 3 months, it became more serious. And they were to do a procedure, I think you said next week. This week, Friday. Right. And her heart just didn't make it that long. Her heart broke, and everyone who knew her heart breaks. She was a loving person. And on Mother's Day, the day before her birthday, family gathered. We were going to have a big party, but she didn't quite have enough energy for that, so you got together and gathered and spent time together. And now she's breathed her last, and her soul is at peace. It's a time of rest and wholeness and peace. Judaism talks about the soul returning to God. God takes care of the souls of our loved ones. Her soul returns to God to be with the souls of her dear husband, family and friends, and the ancestors of our people. We learn this in Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 7. The dust returns to the earth as it was. The spirit returns to God who gave it. So we will place the body in the ground, escort her body to its final resting place. The spirit returns to God. And one day you will be together again. It's life after death in Judaism. It's called Olam Haba, the world to come. It's a time, not a place. This is a place. Olam Haba, the world to come, is a time. It's an eternal time. It's a little more abstract. And we believe that the souls of our loved ones go there, and that our soul goes at that time too. We'll be together with our loved ones. Your memories are rich and overflow. Thoughts of your dear Gail. And we give thanks to God for this gift of life. We would have hoped for many more years. However, in good health. And apparently this was her time. And so we are thankful for the time we had with her. As you think of her, be kinder, more thoughtful, help people as she helped help people. Force Curtis to make some matzo balls. Do the brownies and the cheesecake and gather together and do the things that you enjoy doing with her, and continue to do those things. And so we conclude with words, with tears in our eyes, words from the first chapter of the book of Job. Adonai Natan v'Adonai Lakach, Yehi Shem Adonai Mevarach. The Lord hath given, the Lord hath taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Amen. Ose shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, yimru, amen. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. May God, who causes peace to reign in the high heavens, cause peace to rain down upon us, upon all Israel, and upon the soul of our dearly departed Gail Meister. And let us say, Amen. Please rise for El Maleh Rachamim. Into your care, O God, we entrust the spirit of Gail Meister, for you keep faith with your children in death as in life. Sustain us so we may meet with serenity the mysteries that lie ahead, knowing that when we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, you, O God, are with us, a loving friend in whom we put our trust. You are the light of our life, our hope in eternity. El Maleh Rachamim, Shochein Bamromim, Hametzeh Menucha Nechona, Tachat Kanfei Hashchina, Im Kedoshim U'Tohorim, Kezohar Aki Amazirim, Et Nishmat Gail Meister, Shehalacha L'Olama, Ba'al Harachamim, Yastivreha B'Seit Kenafav Le'olamim, Vayitzror B'Tzror HaChayim, Et Nishmata, Adonai Hu Nachalata, ותנוח בשלום על משכבה, ונאמר Amen. Compassionate God, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to our dear Gail Meister, who has entered eternity. O God of mercy, let her find refuge in the shadow of your wings, and let her soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is her inheritance. May she rest in peace, and let us say, Amen. Please be seated just for one moment. If you're going to the cemetery with us to help escort her body to its final resting place, then you'll be with us when we get to Howard's house. But if you're not, probably about an hour and 15 minutes from now is when the family will arrive back at the house and gather for the morning's meal and light the Shiva candle. The family has asked that if you would like to make any donations in Gail's loving memory, consider first among the places the ALS Society. And the family will be at the house receiving guests all day, probably till about 8:30 or 9 o'clock tonight. And she'll be on the Kaddish list at our synagogue, Temple Israel, Ner Tamid. We'll do Kaddish for her for the next 4 Friday nights. It'll be our privilege to do that. Our services are at 7:30. And now we'll go in procession to Mount Olive Cemetery.